Welcome to the Fishing Daily Podcast. In this episode, I'm joined by Tom Rossiter of SafetyNet Technologies, and he is also a member of the Catch Welfare Platform. So today, we will be talking to Tom about CatchCam, and we'll be asking why he became a member of the Catch Welfare Platform. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Oliver, and thank you for having us today.
Tom, welcome back to the show. You were on one of our first podcasts back in June 2021, and I'm guessing that since that time you've had a lot more work with the catch cam. Could you tell us about it?
Yeah, 2021 is a long time ago now, but yeah, we've been pretty busy over the last couple of years. It was still in the time of COVID, and we're fortunate enough to be able to get out with the fishing industry and work with the fishing industry. And since then, we've learned a lot, and I think probably as much as anything else, we've learned how little we really know and how little we understand. But certainly what we've seen over the last couple of years has really opened our eyes to how we can do things better, understanding what's happening down there. But by no means do we understand or know it all, and we never will, in my humble opinion. But yeah, we've been very busy out all types of vessels, working predominantly in the UK and Ireland. But we've been out in the US, Canada, products out in Australia, New Zealand. It's working on crabbers, pelagic, dredgers, trawlers. We haven't quite fitted one on a long line yet, but I'm sure that day will come. But yeah, we've kind of been all over, and every day is a school day.
Where do you think you're going to be going with the catch cam in the next, say, 12 months? Will you be taking it further afield, or will you be working closer to home?
Well, we're at the stage now where the product kind of does its own thing. It doesn't necessarily need me to babysit it. So really, the objective now is to get it into the hands of the fishermen and get them using it to help them do their job better. And what does that look like? Well, it certainly works on the kind of, I suppose, the operational efficiency. Can you optimizing your gear, getting it doing the best job it can do. You've also got the I suppose the sustainability and avoiding bycatch or impacts, unnecessary impacts. And the other thing that's often overlooked, but kind of something that's come out as a consequence, is there's an educational aspect to it, because the videos, as you know, it's all around us, and people, their attention span's quite low. So a 30-second video can tell a lot more than what me sitting here for half an hour will tell in some cases. So yeah, we've kind of realized that actually there's a really important educational thing here, and people don't understand our industry. They've got really funny ideas which they've got from TV or reading papers or whatever, and a lot of it's nonsense. So I think it is important that we educate people about what the reality is. And the other thing is it's very often nowhere near as bad as it's painted out to be, and it's quite the opposite. Some of the most ecological and conservation minded people are fishermen, because that's part of the job if you want to keep your job.
Yeah, it's part and parcel that you look after your environment in order to make sure that it's there for next year and the year afterwards. And I suppose part of the process that's evolving all the time now is, like, we're seeing new projects coming up. And one of those projects that we're looking at, where we'll be both in between the 20th and the 22nd of November, will be in Bergen at the Catch Welfare Platform Conference. Could you tell us how you got involved with that?
Um, I suppose to some extent it was by accident. I was fortunate enough to go out to Norway earlier this year in March, as part of a kind of program being run by Marks and Spencers, and they were in looking at investigating, the how that fits into I suppose seafood production going forward, and we had a fantastic program put on. We learned so much, and it was really interesting. And my role there was really as a kind of a bit of a sense check around how this might work for the industry, and yeah, I learned a lot. And probably the key thing that I kind of knew beforehand, but the message didn't sink in, is, catch welfare is it's about the welfare of the animals. And if you think about it in terms of, farm animals, if you've got a cow or a sheep or whatever, if you look after that animal will look after your business a bit better. If you don't feed the cow, you're not going to get as much milk out of it. If you batter around the milking parlor, it's not going to want to get milked. The simple things there. And it just, because fishing happens under the sea, you just don't see things in the same way, but it kind of laid it out. And the ultimate thing was, we went to a brand new plant, which has been run by a company called Salmon Evolution, where they've got a site where they're growing salmon. It's not a recirculation site, but it's not an open water site. It's in a quarry, and they basically take the water out of the fjord, pump it through the system, it comes out the other end, but they can control many things in there. And the welfare is absolutely one of the things they're controlling. So they're optimizing the temperature and light, etc., etc. And off the back of that, they've got healthier fish, they've got better, stronger fish. And when it comes to, where the money comes from, which is the meat, they get better yields. It's like, God, that's what we want. It makes sense. If you look after it, it looks after you. So yeah, that was kind of where I came in, and the work we were doing and have been doing around, catching the right fish and precision fishing. That's exactly the same thing, but we just hadn't thought about it in those lines. And a stressed fish is a poorer quality fish than one that isn't stressed. We kind of see that perhaps the most obvious ones, mackerel, where you get a premium for a really, really good quality fish, and you won't if it's not good enough. So it's already out there. We're dealing with it, but actually we could be dealing with it better.
The older fishermen would always say to you that the quicker you got the fish out of the net, and the quicker that you got it, what to call now, processed, which we used to call gutting and cleaning and washing and iced, you would have a better quality of fish. And this sort of relates to the same idea, but you're looking after the animal welfare at an earlier stage.
It starts the second the fish comes in contact with your fishing gear. To just think about animal welfare on the boat it's daft. It's like, well, if you abuse it in the net, you can never add quality. You can only take it away. So if it's been abused in the catching process, then it's abused, and you can only abuse it more. But if it's coming on board in a really good state, then you can try and maintain that as best you can. So yeah, I think in the past it wasn't really considered beyond the point of the hopper, but actually you have to go back further. And the better the job we do in the sea, then the better the product will come out at the end.
You're going to be a keynote speaker at the conference. Can you give us an idea of what you'll be covering when you're there?
I suppose the key message is it starts at the gear, but I'll be kind of highlighting some of the things that we've been working on ourselves, and some of the really interesting lessons that we've learned through the work we've carried out over the last couple of years. So, one example is around the phrase prawn fish, and prawn fish will always go on a market and get a poorer price, but it's the same fish. It's just been caught in a different way. And I suppose, the idea was that actually you put prawns and fish in a net together. Well, the prawns are going to be rubbing up against the fish and they're causing bruise and all the rest of it. And that's true. But actually, that's not the cause of it. The cause of it is to do with actually the sediment. Because when you're fishing for nephrops, you're on mud or very, very soft sediment, as opposed to perhaps if you're going after cod or whitens or haddocks, you tend to be on a harder ground. And sometimes the ground contact it has to be tighter with nephrops, prawns, because you're trying to scoop them up off the ground, whilst the fin fish tend to swim a little bit up, so you're not got that same impact as such. And when the trawl comes in contact with a soft sediment, the movement, it's not that the trawl's digging in, absolutely not. That's not what the fishermen want. But it's the movement of the trawl over the seabed creates lots of little eddies and currents, and that then lifts the sediment into the water column. And finfish have to breathe oxygen through the gills. That's where they get their oxygen. So instead of getting clear water, they're starting to get this water with the sediment in it, and it quite frankly makes them sick and stops them performing like they would in normal conditions. And then that means that they can't kind of survive in the trawl like they would on a whitefish trawl, and that results in them going into the cod end and going through the wash machine, as we would call it, where the prawns or the nephrops are mixing up with them, and then you get your bruised flesh. But it's not the prawns that are attacking them and doing that to them. It's actually just the condition, and we've learned that through the cameras. So there's one example. There are a few others that I can kind of give you if you want.
That's very interesting, because you never think on those things. Like, suppose we do all know that we call that fish find it more difficult in muddier waters, as you say, to breathe oxygen through their gills. And it's just one of those situations where if they can't breathe, they're going to pass out, just like us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And just maybe give us another example of how CatchCam has caught something that we didn't really understand before.
A really interesting one is what we've learned is fish need to understand that they're in danger to try and escape. So that's and how do they do that? It's something that it's almost like there's a moment where it dawns on them and they go, ah, hell, I'm in trouble here. I need to get out of here now. And where does that happen? And what we've observed, it doesn't happen around like with the sweeps and that. Yes, something's not right, but it's not panicking them. They're not scattering. And then they go over, let's say they go over the foot rope and over the fishing line. They're in the net, and they're still going, right, this is a different environment, but it's I'm chaos hasn't kicked in yet. And what we found gradually as they go down towards the cod end, then they get to a point where I can't go any further. And that seems to be the point where they go, now I'm in trouble. Now I need to do something. And that's when they really start looking to, okay, I need to get out of here. But as it's gone through the net, the vast majority of fish are just almost, they're just going along for the ride. They just don't see that danger. And okay, Tom, how do you know that and nobody else knows that? Well, we can look at certain things that triggers this kind of panic. And if you see, and a prime example was if you had, like in the extension, you've got a square mesh panel, right? So the fish are passing down through the net, and you can see them passing down through the net, and they're probably tired at this stage because they maybe swam for a while around the mouth of the net. They're going down through the net, and they can see a big opening through a square mesh panel. I could get out there, no bother, but they're not really bothered. But if you introduce a seal into that environment, obviously the seal's the biggest predator, then they get really, really excited and they go, pew, 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 pew. and they fly all over the place because they have to get away from the seal. They perceive the danger and they're reacting to it. So you do, but without the seal, you don't necessarily get that behavior. And when it really becomes evident is once they get down to the cod end and they kind of, yeah, there's nowhere else to go. Right, it's time to get away here. The ride's over. See you later, type thing. So that was certainly one thing. And then a little bit further on from that is, okay, we give them a hole to get out of. You need to be careful what kind of hole you give them. So we've recently done some work with a tunnel that's for the fish to swim out of and up, where prawns can't necessarily get washed out. So you're trying to separate the prawns from the kind of fin fish. And we made a large hole that was a foot long, 6 inches wide. So a large fish would get out of there. But in doing this, we cut out a piece of netting, and then around the edge of the netting, we got some rope just to hold it, stop it from ripping, etc. And in lashing that on, what we ended up doing was we actually opened some mesh inadvertently because we were lashing it on and we didn't lash it tightly, if you know what I mean. And with that, the fish were coming up the tunnel, and there was actually a mesh that was 110 mil that was half open in front of them, and then you had the piece of rope, and then you had the massive hole that's a foot long and 6 inches wide. Nearly half the fish were trying to get out a small hole. They were taking the first available opportunity, and that's what they saw, and that's what their instinct was telling them, is take the first opportunity. So, in terms of, okay, well, what would you do then? Well, the next time I make one of these, I will make sure there are no half chances. There's only one chance, and it's the big one, because if they swim out with a smaller mesh, they're going to do themselves damage. Their chance of surviving is greatly reduced. They'll probably get an infection and they'll die. And that's not what we're trying to achieve here. We want to get them to swim out and survive and be there next year when perhaps they're the right size and the market's good.
It's amazing how fish react. And as you said, we're only just seeing and learning these things, and we're learning a lot through the catch cam. Is there any place people can go and see these videos for themselves about what's happening?
Yeah, well, they can come to Bergen, but that'd be a bit expensive, I would have said. No, we've got a YouTube channel as well, and I think there's an educational aspect of what we're doing, and it's educational to a lot of people, including fishermen, to see these. So we do put a lot out on social media as well. But yeah, we have our own YouTube channel, SafetyNet Technologies, on there, and there are a lot of videos, and it's there's pelagic, potting, pretty much all fishing kind of activities are in there, so you can go in and have a look. But every boat's different, every gear's different, and your operation will be slightly different to mine, etc. So I suppose, listen, my advice would be get a catch cam and get out there and learn for yourself and see how your own business operates. But you can learn from others, and the beauty about videos is so easy to share nowadays, and time as well. You can spend 30 seconds looking at a video and go, all right, okay, look how much I've learned there, and it's only cost me 30 seconds.
Tom, why is it important for fishermen to get involved in the catch welfare platform, do you think?
There's a number of reasons, but for me, as a kind of, my head's a fisherman head, it's around the quality, it's around providing the best possible product to our consumers, who everything comes out of the cod end. So the more money you make out of the cod end, the more money you have to pay your crew, to invest in the business, and do the things we want to do. So, we don't optimize the value of the products we're catching. The market undermines them at times. We undermine them at times. So I think it's incumbent on us to get the most out of it. And the catch welfare platform definitely drives towards that. There's also pressure coming on the industry now from the animal welfare point of view. fish have been proven scientifically to be sentient and can feel pain. And, that's just so foreign a concept to any fisherman, and none of us, we don't go around kicking dogs for fun or anything like that. That's not what we are as people. And I've seen fishermen risk their lives to help basking sharks or whatever get out of gear doing. So it's not in their nature, but now we're kind of faced with a challenge where actually there is something we do that has an impact on animals, and we've never thought about it before. We need to get our head around this, and we need to find practical solutions, because we don't want to cause anybody any pain, but we also want to make a living here. And ultimately, these are food items that have to feed people, and that's important. So we need to engage in this process to get the most out of it in terms of yield and quality and value to our business, but also to address the challenges from that kind of welfare point of view. And I think there is a sweet spot where we can get more from it than lose, if you see what I mean. But there will be challenges, and we need the right technology. And that's why I was, at the top, you asked me the question. That's why I was there at the beginning, is looking at what's available now and thinking, would that work on a boat? No, not in its current form. We need to put more effort in here. So that's why I think we need to get involved. Not everybody kind of needs to jump on it right now, but I think we need to keep open minds to it and watch this space as we go along. And if you can make improvements to the quality of your product, then you are making improvements to the welfare of the product as well.
Tom, it's great speaking to you again, and I'll probably have a catch up with you in Bergen, and we'll see how things have gone there when we're there.
Yeah, right. Looking forward to it. We might get a pint as well, eh?
Yeah, we might too.